everybody. Welcome back to Fear Given and Rethemed. We are your host, Casey.
And Sean. And today we've got another haunted attraction review, something more local and festive. Gainesville Fear Garden's Easter experience. Dreadful Extravaganza.
Eggstravaganza.
Eggstravaganza. Jeez.
Yeah.
So we have reviewed them before, but we have not reviewed them since we started our standardized scoring system. So this will be a fun first.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
And we'll also kind of follow the same format as previous haunted attraction reviews. So topic 1, we'll talk about the website itself, kind of some of their marketing, the ticketing, the pricing. We'll talk a little bit about the history of the attraction, which in this case is going to be mostly on what have they done before, and then what are the storylines of this.
Okay.
So I have a synopsis after listening to all the audio several times for all the different storylines. So we'll go through that. It's going to be a little tedious on that part, but we'll make it through it. We'll switch on and off. And then we'll talk about some Yelp reviews, positive and negative, so that we are not biased. And then we will talk about our own scoring, all 10 categories. Again, they are theme and story, first impressions, acting, lighting, effects, audio, set design, customer service, merchandise, and ultimately our final thoughts.
All right,
you ready for this?
Good. I'm ready. So let's go ahead and dive into topic 1, which is website ticketing and pricing. So on their website, these are some of the, phrases that they use on their website.
You haven't read any of these notes.
I haven't, so I'm going in
You just got
blind.
them like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah. So, story-driven egg hunt through scare zones, horror-themed, signature booze, weirdo prizes, location dark and sketchy, rated M for mature. Hi, we're a beer and wine bar. Mostly, we make signature cocktails with new wicked strong wines, but we've got beer and seltzers too, plus a mean mocktail. We're also a laboratory for the development of novel methods for the efficient elicitation of terror. It's cool. We're psychologists.
But this one's totally different. Not a haunted house. Listen to a choose-your-own-adventure horror story. Make decisions, hunt for eggs, maybe die. If not, redeem what you find in the eggs for prizes at the bar. What kind of prizes, you ask? Weirdo ones, we answer. You'll be fine. We aren't even going to blindfold you for this one. It's very professional and not at all sketchy. The relevant authorities definitely know that we're doing this. You'll be fine. Okay, fine. No more marketing spin. We're a nerdy, offbeat haunted house thing. Give us a shot? Novelty is good for human brains. Signed, K&K.
Cute. I love their little... I really like the line, what does it say?
We're not at all...
Oh, it's very professional and not at all sketchy.
I remember when I was doing the notes for this one, I remember we talked about that last time.
Yeah.
And we talked about how when you say it the way they worded it, it was super sarcastic.
Oh,
and that was one of our favorite parts.
Yeah. So tickets for this experience are $19 per person per story. And if you wanted to do a add-on, if you wanted to go through it a second time, then it's $6 for the readmission.
Yep. So, sorry about that. So Gainesville Fear Garden has done Halloween events the past 2 years. So in 2022 as well as 2023. They've also done a Christmas-themed event called Solstice Seance. Mm-hmm. And this was their first ever Easter event. And it was Dreadful Eggstravaganza. Did I say that better?
Yeah, which is really cool because we've never really been to a spooky themed Easter event because it's kind of hard to separate Resurrection Easter and Easter Bunny Easter.
Yes.
To me, that's two totally completely different things, but
it is, but I think this pulled it off. And there were a lot of haunts that we follow that were doing this. So Calgary, in Canada, they were doing it.
I'm shocked that 13th Floor doesn't do it.
My guess is 13th Floor is waiting for their Halfway to Halloween in May.
Oh, that makes sense.
In order for them to do it.
Okay.
which I don't know if we're going to. I think I signed up for the pre-sale. Who knows when this episode will come out? So that may have been in the past.
Yeah.
We have so many episodes stacked up.
We do.
We're just trying to figure out when best to post them. So like you said, tickets $19 per person per story, $6 for each additional story per person. There were 3 different storylines. So like the website stated, this was less haunted house, more self-guided, follow a story path of your choosing. After contributing to the survey, when you get on site, you check in at the bar. You're then led to the first area just outside the bar, and you listen to a 6.5-minute prologue story that gives context to which path you may want to choose. Would you...
So when you say it's a survey, so if someone is listening and they don't know what the survey is, do you want to explain that, or are we explaining that later on?
I did not have an agenda for that.
Oh,
so if you want to.
So basically, the owners of this haunt, or this, this haunt, Ken is the, what is he, a psychologist?
He is a former psychologist professor.
Okay, yeah. So he's a former psychologist professor at the University of Florida. And so he and some students are coming together, and they have this, partnership with UF, where they are doing studies on fear and basically,
fear
other things.
in psychology.
Yeah.
There's a ton of different
there's so much
directions they're going with it.
Yeah.
So right now they're gathering all the data. Most of the staff are volunteer psychology students, and they're actually able to use the data for their research studies, their papers. A lot of them, part of the process is trying to be published to move into grad school and all sorts of other endeavors. So pretty much fully run by psychologists, I would say.
And the survey that they ask you, it's just questions like demographic questions, and then there's questions about like, how do you, like, what are your phobias? Like, how do you, what level are you scared of, certain things and stuff like that. So I just wanted to
so far the survey questions have been different for every event.
Yes.
Which I think is interesting to kind of, I try to gauge what the event's going to be like based on the survey, because most of the time we take it before.
Right.
But it's not always possible. So it's nice to look at it and not be able to figure out where they're trying to lead you to.
That's true.
Whereas to me, a lot of therapy is, which I know psychology and therapy aren't necessarily one and the same, but
right.
When therapists ask questions, I feel like it's pretty easy to gauge where they're leading you contextually.
Yeah, I would, yeah.
But with these surveys, I don't feel that way. I'm still completely in the dark, literally.
Yeah.
Do you want to read the prologue, and then I'll talk about the other stuff?
Sure. Excuse me. So the prologue gives a summary of the event you're attending, what you signed up for, being a research study about what makes people feel afraid, the possible side effects, so what might or what might not be exaggerated. Then it moves to the basis of the story. In 1978, an amusement park closed after a few boys died on Southeast 2nd Street. Following this event, we learned that 19 people have disappeared across the street over the past 14 years. A professor, parasociologist, and self-proclaimed ghost hunter, Dr. Richard Freed, left an audio tape recorder behind when he was at this location studying the event and its possible link to the occult. The tape recorder was found by Fear Garden inside of a storm drain just outside the facility. We get to hear a bit of Dr. Freed's recorded audio, but it's a bit difficult to make out. What you can hear is that on the night of April 4th, 2021, while he was on site of what looked like an old mini golf course, he looked down at his clipboard and saw in fresh red ink, "Hello, Dr. Freed." Then something sharp grazed the back of his arm, leaving a wound that needed to be tended to with at least stitches. Then the audio gives you the choice to follow one of 3 paths. Green if you want to learn more about what drew on Dr. Freed's clipboard, yellow if you want to learn more about the dead kids, and white if you want something entirely different. Also, we learned that there's a golden egg somewhere that will get you the best prizes they offer.
Yeah, so we attended this event multiple times throughout the weekend that it was offered. What was April? No, March. March 29th, 30th, and 31st?
I believe so.
Or 28th to the 30th?
I think it was last night. It was our last night,
Yeah.
so the 31st.
So,
Today's
right.
April 1st, by the way, when we're recording this, so I don't know when it's going to come out, but this is when we're recording it.
So in order to fully understand the stories, because I know I found myself disregarding the stories after the first probably 2 or 3 audio tracks, and my whole focus was on finding eggs.
I know. It's really
And I
hard
felt
to...
bad.
I know, because I really wanted to listen to the story.
Right, I love stories, and I felt guilty as soon as I was like, I don't really want to listen to this anymore. I really just want to find this egg and all of the eggs I possibly can.
Yeah, it's because it's too... And we'll talk about this like with, our reviews and stuff, but it was a lot of words to listen to. But it's a good story.
Yes, phenomenal story.
Yeah.
And there's, again, like we talked about, there's 3 different stories that happened after what you just kind of set the groundwork for.
Right, yeah.
So we actually went through, after all of our times going through it, and we kept the QR codes that you had to scan to access the audio. So we had all those tabs still open on our phones, came back home, and as part of our kind of research process, we re-listened to the story. I think I listened to each of them 2 or 3 times just today. I wanted to understand exactly what I was supposed to be looking at in each of the areas in the scare zones. Mm-hmm. I wanted to understand the story. I wanted to come up with any questions I had, maybe to be answered at a later date. I wanted to know if there was any callbacks. What... Was that you or me?
It was my throat. I don't know what's going on with my throat today.
Who knows? So I wanted to fully understand the story and really dive in deep. Like sit in a dark room, just listen to it, and kind of pretend it was year 1, blindfolded, and I'm letting my imagination run wild. So listen to all the paths, all the audio clips. So next, what we'll break down is a brief synopsis of what each path explained. And then at the end of each of those, we'll explain what fate you had. That you either live or you die. Did you even...
Okay.
Did you know that was the thing that they ended each path with?
You live or you die?
Mm-hmm.
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, so the whole thing was make good choices.
Okay.
So in this case, there was only one good choice. So
okay.
To recap the options that you said, we can do green if you want to learn what drew on Dr. Freed's clipboard. Yellow if you want to learn more about the dead kids from 1978 and moving forward. Or white if you want something entirely different.
Okay, now did we specify the sticker part of what?
No. So...
Okay.
Do you want to go? Do you want to go through that? Or I'll go through it. I'll take care of it. Don't worry.
Okay.
So in each zone, there were a couple of eggs with a big black Sharpie X on them. And in each of those eggs, there was a stack of stickers. So when you checked in, you were given a card with 4 circles to put stickers in. And the whole point of that was to get a sticker from each zone or each stop. Again, each colored path had 4 stops. So you get a different sticker from each one. I don't know if the stickers were all the same in the specific eggs. I don't know if different eggs in the area had different stickers. I assume they did.
They did.
They had to have, based on how they were doing prizes and stuff.
Right.
So that's what you're looking for. You were supposed to go to the zone, scan the QR code, listen to the audio, find the egg, and then move on to the second zone.
Yeah,
which was all spray painted lines on the asphalt.
Right.
And there were guides throughout that were helping you kind of make sure you were on the right path, going the right direction, scanning the right QR codes, etc.
Yeah.
So, what path would you like to choose? Green, to learn more about what drew on Dr. Freed's clipboard. Yellow, if you want to learn more about the dead kids. Or white, if you want something entirely different. What would you rather?
I want to do yellow.
Well, that's unfortunate because we're going to do yellow last.
Oh, man.
So, really, I would rather you choose green or white.
I'll choose white.
Okay. You didn't want to take my notes in order. That's fine. So.
It's just really long.
No, I know. You don't have to say any of them.
No.
I'll read them.
No, it's okay. I'll read white.
All right. You can read white, and I'll read green and yellow.
Okay. You want me to go?
Sure.
Okay, so white is the path if you want something entirely different. So this story lasted, I think, about 10 minutes, right?
Yep, if you add all the audio clips together after the prologue, which in itself was about 7 minutes.
Okay, sorry, I forgot to mention that. So the path started at a greenhouse, moved to a tent with people in masks and costumes, and then you go to a go-kart area and ultimately to a nest of sorts. So the story is Dr. Freed drops his clipboard and runs outside to an old greenhouse. He sees something in the corner. It's like a rabbit, but some messed up form of one where it almost looks like a rabbit is just being mapped onto a shell of some shape. The narrator goes into a rabbit trail.
So I put in parentheses after my note here because I put rabbit trail in quotes and then I put LOL in parentheses.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was clever. They didn't say that, but I did. So, because this is all
So you
just
gave yourself
my
credit?
own. Yeah, this is all just my own summary after listening. This is not anything they wrote. Some of the verbiage is taken directly from them, but no, rabbit trail is not.
I
That's
figured.
mine.
Okay, all right, I'll
So,
give it to you.
LOL.
LOL. So anyways, the narrator goes into a rabbit trail of how companies can start developing pharmaceuticals, for instance, LSD. The narrator then asks if you got a drink at the bar and offhandedly compare your experience to Dr. Freed's of being drugged when we hear Dr. Freed's audio saying, "What was in my coffee?" in the second zone when he's trying to describe the masks or costumes he's seeing in this area that seem out of place. We then follow Dr. Freed's journey to a go-kart area where he says rabbits are doing donuts around him and thinks this might just be a bad trip that he can't describe what he sees in audio.
I want to interject a little bit.
Okay.
This, when it says rabbits are doing donuts, in my head, and I just imagine like rabbits doing donuts as in like donuts were a drug. Like
they were
doing
eating
LSD,
donuts?
like doing donuts. But it did mean like go-karts, rabbits in go-karts doing physical donuts.
Yeah, I got that part.
I just wanted to share my own imagination on that.
Okay, cool. So the final scene is a nest with eggs and rabbits with a giant egg in the center of the room. It smells like mold. The story leads to Dr. Freed being led to the giant egg that opened into a mutant rabbit. The simulated voice comes on and says, "You died. The mask was full of tendrils."
That was a bad
Interesting.
choice.
That
You
was a
shouldn't have
bad
chosen
choice.
white first.
I guess not. Darn, I died.
All right. So, funnily enough, white was the first path that we chose, night one. So, next, we will do green. Green was the path if you wanted to learn more about what drew on Dr. Freed's clipboard. It was also almost 10 minutes long. These two are about the same length, maybe seconds apart. They're very similar. They went to similar areas, but they kind of adjust the timeline of the story a little bit so that they can utilize the same area for different parts of that storyline, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Probably saved a lot of cost as well.
Mm-hmm.
So for green, the path started at a greenhouse, moved to a tent with disassembled playground parts, then to a parking lot, and finally to the go-kart area. The story. Dr. Freed dropped his clipboard, similar to the white path, pushed out the south side door, then looked back into the building one last time, freezing and going silent. He looked back out the door and came face to face with a carport with several old amusement park props, along with a broken greenhouse, a sight he remembers from Depot Park Fun and Games in his childhood. This park had also been run by Kojo Biotech, as well, to study talking plants. In the corner of the area, he saw a purple flower with fangs. He walked to another area where he saw a graveyard of playground parts with children. The audience is then hearing a mantra, "We are spring. We will grow." I can't say it near as dramatically as they do.
No, they're really good story. Like,
Yeah,
really
their
know how
audio
to...
and recording is
Yeah, great
phenomenal.
job, guys.
Dr. Freed says he doesn't know if the children playing are real or ghosts or specters. The last quote in one of the areas is, "I will punch a child specter." I thought that was hilarious. After moving to the parking lot zone, the audience continues to hear the narrator say the world is just a simulation, and they, the narrators, wanted Dr. Freed because they needed him. The final zone leads to a go-kart scene where Dr. Freed finds men in rabbit masks sitting without speaking in go-karts. The narrator then says Dr. Freed is a, quote, son of spring, and that they, the narrators, can make you see anything, past or future. We then learn Dr. Freed's grandmother also had a rabbit mask, but she never let him wear it. However, now Dr. Freed is being given his own rabbit mask. We hear once again, "We are spring. We will grow." Again, then we are told by a simulation voice that you died, the mask was full of tendrils. So we died again.
Again?
Yep.
Do we ever live?
I had the same question, which is why I had to go back and re-listen to the stories, because I made partial notes each time, and then once I understood everything and could kind of like summarize it without just the notes, then it all started to make sense. So,
Wow.
my favorite storyline was Yellow. It was the one we wanted to do first, and we were not able to. Night one, they had Yellow closed off. They were still having audio issues, so it wasn't fully completed, or it was just kind of having some issues on the back end. Not super sure. Could have also been a staffing thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
So night two, we got to go through Yellow. Sorry, had to burp.
That's okay.
So Yellow was, if you wanted to learn more about the dead kids, it was almost 14 minutes long.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot longer to listen to when you're just sitting still and not hunting eggs.
Yeah.
So the path started at a rocket ship play area, then it goes to the parking lot, then to the front tent where you see abandoned playground parts, and ultimately to a mausoleum and haunted forest scene. So the story of this one, in my opinion, I would guess when they were writing these, this was written first.
Okay.
I feel like Yellow is the primary story that you were supposed to pick. And then I think Green and White weren't necessarily afterthoughts, but I think they tried to weave in after this. I could be wrong, though. I have no idea. Just my guess. So for this storyline, you listen to a podcast called Crime Connoisseurs instead of the typical narrator, Ken. From Katie, the host, we learn about a dark story that started in 1978 in Gainesville, Florida. In March 1978, two children named Emma and Noah, ages 8 and 10, fell from a rocket ship-themed coaster and died. Throughout the investigation, we learned the children were poisoned and that their injuries weren't consistent with falling. We learned that the children were poisoned by a local cult that was obsessed with sacrificing to an ancient god in the promise of a renewal and birth in spring. The podcast calls this episode A Sacrifice to Spring. In the following audio and clips and scenes, we learned that after the amusement closed, 3 construction workers and fathers of small children went missing. All 3 were very good looking. Gotta mention that.
That's really interesting. Okay. The 3 construction workers or the small children?
I'm going to assume the construction workers / fathers. Yeah,
okay.
I didn't put that in the right place, but that's right. So all 3 of the adults were all very good looking. Gotta mention that.
Cool.
Pulling that quote directly from them because I thought it was funny.
Okay.
Dr. Freed re-enters the story, and we're told that he's on the site and thinks that their disappearance opens some sort of quantum realm, and that something was summoned, but he's not sure what. He's had dreams about this place, and dreams about masks and rabbits. After the construction, Depot Park Fun and Games opens. different amusement park, same place. Shortly after, 2 fathers disappear from the area, both also very good looking.
Why does that matter?
Gotta mention that.
Okay.
We are then pitched the idea that maybe the ground is cursed after what happened to Emma and Noah. In the final scene, we hear a story about a school teacher and father of 2 kids. The school teacher was named Michael Anderson. He takes his 2 kids to a section of the amusement park that contains a haunted forest and a mausoleum. He coerces his 2 kids to go in ahead without him, and he'll meet them on the other side. When they come out, however, he's nowhere to be found. All they find is an empty costume draped over a tombstone, along with a rabbit mask. Then in the story, we return to Dr. Freed in the scene at the time of his audio recording, watching the father and the daughter scene play out, or the father and the kid scene play out. We hear that Dr. Freed is a son of spring, according to Ken the narrator. We then hear multiple times, "We are spring. We will grow." And then we hear them say, "Dr. Freed must give." Dr. Freed then drops the mask and runs. We hear the original narrator say that they will hunt the fathers to find the sons. Only the blood of the sons will sustain us. Your father made us a pact. They then call themselves the Freermen. I don't know if I'm saying that right because the audio was a little fuzzy-ish.
Okay.
But it sounded like Freermen.
Freermen.
Yeah, so not quite Fearmen, but Freermen. Who knows? We then hear the podcast wrap up with telling us we just heard about the Warrens cult who sacrificed children to awaken the ancient god of spring. Then, just like the other 2 paths, the simulation voice plays and tells us that the cult was made up of DILFs. What are DILFs, Casey?
Dads I'd like to
Doink.
forget. Doink.
Yeah, so their quote of that was, "Dads I'd like to doink," which definitely made us chuckle. But after that, we're told that we survived, and congratulations, make your way to the bar and the prize counter.
So if we had chosen, if this had been up and running on the first night, we would have been
We would have
alive.
been right. So the whole point of the story
And then we would have gotten
lines-
better prizes.
Possibly. Yeah, maybe. So the whole thing was, should you care? I feel like this was a good psychology thing because when you're looking at this story and you hear the beginning, you can either care about, well, what happened to Dr. Freed? What drew on his clipboard? Why did it say, "Hello, Dr. Freed"? You can not care about the story at all and go, "I don't care. I just want to hunt eggs. I want to look for something else." Or you can care about the victims of the story. You can care about the kids. Guess what? If you care about the kids, you win. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what a good person does.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
See? So there was logic behind it.
Right.
Now, even though the yellow path was my favorite, I have some bones to pick with it.
Okay.
So I listened to these, like we said, several times to make sure it wasn't just me that was getting confused. So in the yellow path, in the first and third audio clips, we hear that the 2 children were Emma and Noah Gilvetti. Gilvetti was their last name.
Okay.
However, in the second audio clip of the yellow path, they were Emma and Noah Parker. So the only thing that I can think may have happened is these are a lot of stories. We just read our own summaries. The scripts for these stories are multiple pages.
Right.
That's a lot to keep track of. That's a lot. Just so much information about the backstories of all these things. So what I found funny was the yellow areas for 1 and 3 were rocket ship and front tent. The second area where they're Emma and Noah Parker is the parking lot scene.
Oh,
So could be linked to that, could be on purpose. I don't know.
could be.
Also, in the last audio clip where we learn about the father that has 2 kids, takes them into the mausoleum in Haunted Forest.
Michael.
Michael Anderson, yep. So at the beginning, Michael Anderson has 2 sons.
Right.
When he takes his kids to the museum or to the mausoleum in the haunted forest, he suddenly has 2 daughters.
Maybe they
So,
wanted to be daughters instead of sons.
possibly. So there are some
So
loose ends there, I feel like.
It's either inconsistencies or they did it on purpose for...
They could have tried to see who caught it.
Right.
It could have been maybe Michael Anderson had 4 kids. And maybe initially his 2 sons went missing.
Maybe.
Throughout this story, we know that this cult was not targeting daughters, typically. It seemed like they were targeting sons. But as a whole, they were targeting children. They were sacrificing just children, but they were going after Sons of Spring, or they were Sons of Spring.
Gotcha. Okay,
So,
that makes sense.
I feel like there was just some knowledge gap that I didn't pick up on.
Maybe.
But either way, I thought those 2 were kind of strange, to say the least. And again, I would not put it past a psychology team to put these in for the simple fact of, you think anybody's going to catch this?
Right.
I don't know.
Probably not.
We caught it, whether it was on purpose, accidental, or if it's just our own misunderstanding, which is highly, highly possible.
Right.
So, Yelp reviews.
All right.
I don't want to end on the 2 negative reviews we found. So, I want to start with them instead.
Okay, so these are reviews specifically for this event.
And they're really just comments.
Yeah,
on
they're not really
Facebook.
reviews. Yeah, they're just comments that we thought that, because I don't really have a lot of negative reviews, so
No, and we wanted
it to be by,
yeah, unbiased.
So unbiased. Sorry, yeah. So this person said they visited on Friday. This had so much promise. The premise of a haunted Easter egg hunt was very intriguing. Unfortunately, only one character was participating in the entire haunt. Most of the event staff basically stood in groups, unmasked, uninterested in the experience, had high hopes as this had every opportunity to be something to be remembered, but the lack of execution was something I'd rather forget I spent my money on.
So, I half agree, I half disagree. For the full context, so that nobody has to go look at these reviews, Gainesville Fear Garden actually commented and, apologized for this person's experience and that they really appreciate the feedback and that they hope in the future they're able to exceed expectations rather than, have somebody experience what they felt they experienced. So I don't, from our experiences on multiple nights, including one of the first groups to go in on the first night, I feel like there was always more than one character.
No, yeah, there were.
There was a lot of event staff that, sure, they stood in groups.
Yeah, but they were there to kind of guide you to where you needed to go.
They weren't part of the theatrical experience. They were part of the organizational.
Right, which was highly needed because
right.
It is confusing if you're not listening to the actual directions.
Well, even then, it's not a
haunted house. You don't
You're not given a class schedule and told exactly where to go.
Right.
You need direction, and that's why there were people that weren't theatrically part of the experience.
Right.
And so I didn't mind that. And when they were in groups, it was typically because there was somebody stationed for each color when there were multiple colors in the scene.
Yeah.
Did they congregate together sometimes? Sure. They're college kids.
Yeah.
And they're volunteers.
Right.
I'm not going to expect them to be the same quality of guiding as Disney or Universal for people that are paid, $15+.
Yeah.
This was an experience that they are helping.
Mm-hmm.
They are not there to spoon feed you and walk you room to room.
Right.
So
it's kind of like a self-guided, like you do it on your own.
Right. They were there if you had questions and to help.
The whole part of it is also just trying to figure out where to go and what to do.
Exactly.
So I don't see why that could have been a problem, but I don't know. Somebody else replied to the same thing and said, I have to agree with that one. And they said very few of the staff were interactive or helpful. A few were, which I didn't ever see. I always saw somebody helping.
Right. People asked us multiple times whenever we even slightly looked up from our phones, do you know where you're going? Would you like any help?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never had anybody not trying to talk to us.
Right. Also had trouble hearing the story on the phone with all the other people and noise. Drove over an hour and was a bit disappointed. Will be watching for evidence of vast improvement and may try again. Love the idea. So I do agree with that. I do agree that...
Which part of it?
The story on the phone. So it's just really difficult, especially with a person who has really bad ADD. I'm trying to watch people around me. I'm trying to listen to the audio, but then there's also background noise. So it was very difficult for me to...
And everybody's listening to their own audio.
Right. And it just... Yeah. It was just too much. It was chaotic. So I ended up even not listening to the story there. I just looked for the eggs, to be honest.
I did the same thing.
So that they, and they were just testing it out. They didn't know how it was going to go.
This event probably had the least amount of time for them to prepare.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to, obviously, the Halloween events they've been planning for several months. Even the Christmas event, they had a good bit of time compared to this event. There's got to be some wiggle room in terms of things you're willing to, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
I'm not expecting a perfect experience. I feel like a lot of this experience was based on your own journey.
That's true.
So you make of it what you will.
Mm-hmm.
These are probably the people that just rushed through and found the eggs and was like, all right, that was...
Right, but I do agree if you're paying for something to go to, especially at $19, I would expect guidance a little bit, and just not just free range to, try to figure it out on my own. But they did give enough guidance when we were there, at least, when we went through. Enough guidance for us to kind of figure it out on our own. So I don't...
Yeah, I think this may have just been a one-off, maybe from Saturday or Sunday. Mm-hmm. If they were super, super slammed at this specific time.
Yeah. I
could see somebody falling through the cracks.
Yeah, because it did get busy.
Yeah, it did.
On Saturday night, so...
Yeah.
You want to read the good reviews?
Yeah.
From Yelp?
Sure. So I am probably not going to read these in an accent.
No.
What do you think?
No, yeah, let's
I feel
not.
like some of these we probably have met these people by being
I was
there
thinking that too.
Nights.
We're a little too close to home, so we're not going to try to pretend to be you.
So the first one is Des Blackheart. I don't know if that's this person's real name.
It's a pretty cool name, though.
I love it. I'm a fan. All right. Des says, a dreadful Eggstravaganza seamlessly blended the joys of Easter with spine-tingling surprises. Amidst the hunt, I stumbled upon a delightful surprise. A set of eyelashes, adding an unexpected twist to the festivities. The prizes were exceptionally cool, making each discovery feel like finding a golden egg. A special shout-out to Garrett at the prize counter, whose amazing service truly elevated the experience. Overall, it was an extraordinary Easter adventure that left me hopping with joy. 5 out of 5 stars.
That was a cute review.
So many Easter puns.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Cute.
You want to read Liz's review?
Sure. Liz Brodsky said, staff was so amazing and friendly, but very scary and fun. 10 out of 10 experience. 5 out of 5 stars.
Perfect.
Cool.
So the last one was a Facebook review, so it doesn't have stars. You either recommend it or you don't.
Okay, so this is from Lola Luna, which is also a really cool name.
Mm-hmm. Reminds me of Space Jam.
Lola Luna?
Lola Bunny.
Yeah. Dreadful Eggstravaganza is an excellent, more puns, excellent adventure that captures the excitement and joy of the hunt. With clever clues, hidden surprises, and a delightful conclusion, it's a cracking good time for all. Grab your basket and join in the fun. Don't forget to hop by and see Garrett at the prize counter.
I'm beginning to think These people were just hot for Garrett.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he's really nice, so.
He was really nice. Yeah, I guess he was the main one at the prize counter all night, so.
Yeah.
All right,
He's
that
the
makes
prize
sense.
person.
He's giving you the free-ish stuff are included.
Yeah.
So now we finally get to our own scoring criteria.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sticking with us.
Yep.
We're going to go through theme and story first. What you got?
All right.
What scores did you give? Everything's out of 5.
So I gave the theme and story a 4 out of 5.
What?
I know.
Why? What docked them points?
So the theming was on point for the holiday. So it was a theme to haunt. Sorry, it was a themed wow, I cannot talk.
Yeesh.
It was a themed attraction more than a haunted house. I just think that the story was a little bit too long and extensive for just a night night thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I agree. The story was extremely extensive. Even if you just took the one path.
Right.
We took all 3.
Mm-hmm.
Even listening to the stories in our own environment, it was a lot. But
yeah, it's a long story.
I'm never going to put any negative stars on too long of a story because I know the stories that I write.
Right.
And what do I love most in a story, like throughout multiple events? Any guesses?
The climax.
I do love a good climax, but
oh my gosh, this is a family friendly
in any
podcast.
movie, in any haunted attraction, the climax is the best part. That's literally what climax means.
I know, I just don't like that word.
Well, whatever. No,
Anyway.
more than a climax, I like callbacks.
Oh yeah.
So something that I don't know if you caught it, but they talked about Kojo Biotech.
Yeah.
So fun fact for anybody that has not gone to Gainesville Fear Garden since the first event, that was the name of the very first laboratory that was in the dark tent. Kojo Biotech, the event was completely blindfolded. You had audio. You were literally guided, like hand in hand, down this path. You ran into plants that would grab hold of you and would kind of whisper to you. Really, really cool event. Obviously, that set the pace for us to be huge fans of Gainesville Fear Garden in general.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome that they kept that and were able to bring it back. And
I agree.
did you notice the stickers on the greenhouse with the feral child in the
Yes.
queue?
Yes.
That was really cool. Love to see the Kojo Biotech sticker there.
There was also one in the greenhouse outside as well.
Oh, there wasn't there?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of people aren't going to look at specific details like that, but when we're very detail oriented, so
Yeah.
we pick out certain things like that, and we appreciate it. I do appreciate it, but I'm not.
You only gave 4 out of 5
because
stars.
I'm not a good like I don't. If I'm going to an event, I'm more focused on the experience rather than the story.
That's fair, and I am opposite.
Right. So that's why, I mean, but they do a really good job with the story. I'm not going to say that it's a bad story at all because put so much time, effort, and detail into the story.
Lots of details,
Right.
lots of callbacks, lots of
Right.
little like Easter eggs within the story.
And the story's great. Like, it's not boring or anything like that. I just don't care for the story. We just look at different things, like I've said before.
So I gave story and theme 5 out of 5 stars. Give me all the story.
Yeah,
Love it.
I know.
What's next?
So first impression, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
I gave it a 3 out of 5, so I was pretty close.
Yeah. So at the beginning, it was a bit unorganized and started a little later than expected. We were actually there we got there earlier, but let's say we got outside by like 7. It was like 6:50. We were outside and we were waiting to go inside, and it was like 7:15, and that was when our start time was 7, right?
Yep, so it started about 15 minutes later than expected.
Yeah. So it was a little bit unorganized just for that aspect and just not knowing exactly what to do first or where to go.
Yeah, because there wasn't really a queue line. It was just a bunch of,
Right.
like a big mass of people outside. And
Yeah.
then owner came out, hey guys, we're ready. We all
Yeah.
kind of filed in. And then it became organized once we were more inside. But
Right.
I would say outside was a little, we weren't sure what to do, where to go, things like that.
Right. Right. So, that's why I give it a 3.5 out of 5. But overall, I mean, always nice, always, yeah.
Yeah. So I gave it kind of the same 3 out of 5. The biggest bottleneck I saw, at least the first night, was the taking the surveys.
Yeah.
There were, what, 3 or 4 computers working?
I think there were 4.
Okay, and they had 5 computers set up. I know one computer wasn't working.
Yes.
Okay. So that seemed to slow a lot of people down. It seems like they changed shortly after that first opening crowd to where you could do the survey either before or after.
Right. Or
So-
not do it at all.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of this is to try to gain
Right.
survey responses. So maybe don't be one of the people that
Don't do it.
don't do it.
Yeah.
But I thought that was cool. I think a little disjointed and difficult to keep track of remembering to do it after. But I appreciated that flexibility and tried to kind of the attempt at removing the bottleneck.
Yeah.
Next is acting. So we scored this the same. I think I scored it this way, unfortunately, compared to other attractions that we've been to recently, as well as to itself. In previous Fear Garden events, the acting is always phenomenal. It's usually not as many actors. This one was throw a bunch of people out there in costumes and help them to up the scenes.
Yeah.
And there was really only, I would say 2 to 3 instances where I felt like the characters helped the scene rather than just being fillers.
Right.
So I think we both gave this 2 out of 5 stars for the acting.
Yeah, it was okay for what it was, but I don't think, well, judging by the story, it was silent bunnies or whatever.
Yeah,
So that
it
makes
makes
sense. But it's also like there could have been a little bit more interaction, I think, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, the 2
I'm not really
characters I
sure.
were able to interact with, one was kind of the weird rancid bunny in the corner behind the greenhouse.
Yeah.
That was a really good one, as well as there was a rabbit in a full, like, pink bunny suit.
Yeah. The
And
costumes
she was
were
giggling,
great.
and, like, she was super, super interactive. So
Yeah, she
whoever
was
played
really
the pink
well.
bunny, 5 out of 5 stars
Yeah,
for that.
the laughing was really creepy.
Yeah,
Good job.
and then well, I guess that's not really acting, it's effects. So, sorry, keep on, keep on keeping on.
So next category is lighting. So they did have a lot of lighting in this one. I gave it a 4 out of 5, just because I liked the Easter themed lighting effects. It was a bit dim in the areas where you needed to see the details on the like you're scanning a QR code and you're also looking for colored lines on the ground. I feel like fluorescent tape would have been a much easier and better, I mean more costly obviously, but
I'm curious how the spray paint is going to be removed. So I feel like tape would have been easier.
right.
Yeah, I agree. I think tape would have been a better way to go.
Or chalk.
Ooh, chalk would have been cool.
And
I
they
think
would-
you'd have had the same issue with chalk versus spray paint.
Yeah, I mean, but you can also do there's neon chalk, and then you can also do a light that reflects on it to make it more bright.
That wouldn't
So
be too bad. Okay.
instead of just paint, or
Yeah.
it could have been like you could have used fluorescent paint, something that's not just like regular matte paint.
Yeah. I
Something
agree.
that makes it more bright. But the lighting in the actual bar area and where you check in, super cute. They had the colors hanging on the ceiling, and it just it felt Eastery to me. It
I
felt
thought it was
cute.
spot on Easter lighting.
Yep.
So again, like I gave it a 3 out of 5, a little less than you, just because when we first went through it, just like you said, the spray painted lines outside. On the first night, they had colored lights out there,
Oh,
And
yeah.
then they changed that moving forward to the second and third nights to where it was a white light, so you could see those spray painted lines a little better.
It was a little better, but you still couldn't.
It's still, you needed that guide there to say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, which path are you trying to go down? Okay, it's over here.
Yeah.
But the workers were pretty knowledgeable about which line was supposed to be what at night.
Yeah, I just
thought.
feel like the lines could have also been done better. They were very, like, intertwined with each other, and it
A
just
few
looked
of them
a bunch of.
seemed like they backtracked on each other,
Yeah.
but
But once you found the area to go to, I mean, it wasn't that difficult, but.
no. And again, that could have all been a purposeful decision. I mean, a lot of it is psychology. It's to make you feel a little uneasy about where to go next.
Yeah,
So
maybe.
it wouldn't surprise me if that was an on-purpose thing rather than an accidental. Effects. I gave effects 3 out of 5. What did you give?
A 2 out of 5.
Okay. So why only a 2?
I just didn't feel like there were that many effects.
Yeah, that's fair.
The thing that I didn't like is having to scan the QR codes. I like QR codes, but in a dark atmosphere, it's kind of hard to do that.
Yeah.
Also, you don't know if everybody's going to have a phone. So, yeah,
Somebody in your group,
somebody in your group probably has a phone.
I'd say there's a 95% chance they have a phone.
Yes, but I still don't.
I don't
know.
think that's a barrier of entry at all anymore. I think in 2024, there's 14-year-olds and younger that all have phones. And this
Okay,
event is
fine.
rated for 18 and up. Not mandatory, but preferred.
That's true.
So I don't know. I gave it a 3 out of 5 instead of 2, mostly because of the Fobble machine, which is fog encased in bubbles. It's a froggy fog machine.
Yeah, those things are so cool.
Love it. Saw it for the first time at Transworld. Saw it again at this event, and I'll never not smile when I see the Fobble machine.
Oh, I know. That's really cool. I mean,
So-
anytime there's fog involved, I'm
Yeah.
gonna love it.
Fog, haze,
So,
add
yeah.
bubbles in the mix. Sold.
So that's really the only effect that they had, other than the lighting.
Yeah, there was a lot of
But-
effects in the audio, but I would classify that under the audio, not effects.
Right. There were no like scary like pneumatic effects or anything like
Right.
that.
No pneumatics, no animatronics,
No.
none of the vibrating floors that they've previously had.
No, because it wasn't supposed to be like that. It's
Right.
just a fun
So
like
no fault of them. It just
no.
it wasn't necessary for this event.
No. Could they have added it? Yes, but
Yeah,
was it
you'd be forcing
necessarily?
it into the story
Right.
unnecessarily.
It would not be necessary.
Yeah.
Next is audio. I gave it a 3 out of 5.
I gave it 4. I liked the audio. My issues with it were there was a lot of audio to keep track with. There was a
Yeah.
lot of things that could go wrong with 13 total QR codes,
Yeah, it's a lot.
13 total audio tracks. The amount of different tracks within a single audio file, all being overlaid, transitioning between them, adding sound effects, the whole 9 yards. That is not an easy thing to do.
No, but I feel like in previous events they've had the headphones, and so that I think eliminates a lot of the like sound barriers we were talking about with like listening to it overlaid to somebody else's on their phone. Also, if you're hard of hearing, this is very difficult. So they, I think after the first night they recommended bringing headphones if you had some.
Yep.
They did have some to give to you, but most iPhones don't have
Most Androids,
most
most
Androids-
phones in general, they don't
right,
have
nowadays don't have
that common 1/8-inch audio jack.
right, which is so crazy to me, but whatever.
It is, but I love me some Bluetooth headphones.
No, I know. But but yeah, so having the headphones would have, I think, been better, but I know that there's a lot that goes with that, with having to time the storylines and also sanitizing and a bunch of other stuff that they probably did not have time to plan or do. So I completely understand that. But
So I have a thought on the using headphones versus having everybody's audio playing at one time in different corners of the room. But I want to save that for my final thoughts. So I will pick that topic up then.
okay, so set design is next.
Yeah. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I did too.
Um,
Set design was cool. I mean, there's not much you can really do except add a bunch of gory, like, Easter bunnies, and that's what they did. And so,
yeah. I mean, you have to maintain the Fear Garden brand and what it is.
yeah,
It's a spooky, kooky lab.
Yeah.
So you want to give that off. You don't want to put up all these walls and all these facades.
no, it's not necessary.
Just to have to tear them down and lose that cost every time.
I think it was minimal, but I think it was just enough. Like,
yeah,
I
it
don't
got the
think
point across as to what you were doing, where you were at.
Right. I don't think they could have added anything else to make it better, and I don't think that they could have taken anything away. So I think it was good.
I will say I didn't fully understand some of the set design choices in the areas for the zones until I was able to fully listen to the audio.
Correct.
And then as I was reading it or listening to it,
Makes complete sense.
it clicked immediately. And I was like, oh, that's why I was supposed to... You know, I should have listened to the audio before I hunted for the eggs.
Right.
And then it would have made 100 times more sense.
Well, that's why it was supposed to be like that.
Right.
But having it be hard to listen to the audio.
Yeah. So it was kind of a double-edged sword.
So we kind of shafted ourselves on that experience. That has nothing to do with them, but
no, I agree. We took it out of order and focused really just on eggs.
Yeah, we just wanted to have fun and just whatever. Customer service. So I'm always going to rate them a 5 out of 5 just because
I'm not always going to rate them 5 out of 5. But I did for this event, and I have for every event so far. But I don't want to go ahead and say
that's what I meant.
In all future events, it's always going to be 5 out of 5.
Oh, that's true.
So far,
yes.
We've only ever had phenomenal customer service from all of the staff.
Right. They're all so very nice, very welcoming. Love that you're there.
Yes.
You know, include you in the family, and we really appreciate that. It was a little, like, I will say that some of the staff, the students, the volunteer students, they were either not, like, interested in being there. I feel like, you know, some of them were just, like, there to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be crazy to have a team of volunteers and have 100% of them fully engaged and committed to their role.
That's true.
I mean, I don't want to compare this to McDonald's, but in any McDonald's, you're going to have at least a few that do not care, and they're being paid. Like, that's their livelihood at that time in their life, whether they're still living at home or whatever external circumstances. They're being paid and still don't care.
That's true.
So for a volunteer basis, I'm willing to give a little more slack. Based on age or experience, things
but
like
you
that.
also have to think about, if you're volunteering, you're upholding a brand, and you should be upholding a certain
But I don't know that is taught in a lot of first jobs. So your first, like, full-time job was Disney. so I'm a little. Your comparison is
I know,
that show-ready quality.
Yes, I have to make
you're always going to be disappointed.
Everything. Yeah, I have to make sure everything is, like, it's clean, it's organized,
right.
It's to the best of.
But that's your personality based on what you were trained with.
That's true.
And I have the same way. I mean, I worked at Cracker Barrel and Chick-fil-A before I worked at Disney.
Yeah.
But even those two companies, All right. I think our audio's back working again. This is super strange.
The ghost is coming back and terrorizing our mics.
Yeah, we switched out to new mics today for the first time.
Well, new used mics.
New to us mics.
Oh my gosh.
It's going back and forth.
Oh no.
This is super weird.
La 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 la.
All right.
Are we back?
I don't know. Let's give it a shot.
Whatever. Okay, so let's keep going before the ghost really kicks us out.
Yeah.
Of their establishment.
This is super weird. All right, so I don't even know where we were at. Merchandise? Did we finish customer service?
Yeah, we were on the end of customer service. So yes, I have a very high standard So when I go to places like that, I'm going to look for those things. So don't really listen. I mean, you can listen to me if you want, but like.
But your standards are borderline unrealistic for volunteers,
Correct.
I think.
Yes.
All right.
So I'm not going to give them too much trouble.
So we both gave them 5 out of 5 for customer service, despite all of our expectations of whatever. Merchandise.
And I like that if there's ever an issue, they like to solve it. Like,
yes.
Yeah. I love when people do that. So merchandise, yes, they had really cool prizes. Really actually like fun prizes, like unique ones.
Are we allowed to say that we donated some prizes?
I mean, yeah, I think
Since
so.
we're like pseudo sponsors and are getting a poster there soon.
Yeah.
We're not being paid to do this episode.
No, we're not.
Please no. We don't have to be nice.
No.
We genuinely enjoy every experience we've had at Gainesville Food Garden.
We don't have to.
But
we don't want to be paid.
We friends with the owners and a lot of the staff.
Yes.
So we are. I feel like we're pretty honest.
Yeah, I'm being honest.
When there's things we don't like, when there's things we do like, I feel like we do a good job of playing devil's advocate against ourselves.
Right. And some things, you know, they're good at that we aren't good at.
Of course.
And there are things that, you know, we could help them with, like, you know, the organization and
I love me some logistical issues to help with.
Oh, yeah, me
love
too.
It.
Like
checklists. What do we need to do before we open? What do we need to do before we close?
Yep. Maintaining your staff.
Stuff.
Maintaining your staff.
Coming up with 3 storylines that are supposed to interconnect and weave around.
Yeah, we all have.
I could do 1, maybe on a great week and month plus to prepare. I could do 2. If I was given a week's notice, no way I could have done 3 storylines to this level of detail.
No, it's crazy.
It's insane to me.
Well, that's why he doesn't sleep. But
yeah, that is very true. So yeah, merchandise. I thought they were really cool prizes. We donated. Or sponsored? We'll say sponsored.
Sponsored.
3 different prizes. A severed foot, a jabbering jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, which is so cute.
Yeah, it's like a projector inside of a plastic pumpkin.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
It's
we actually
cute.
saw the video of the people that won it.
Yeah.
And I think they like it now that they've seen it, more than they did when they first got it.
Good, I'm glad they did.
And then we also sponsored a tombstone
that we made by hand.
With hot wire foam factory. Yeah, hot wire foam factory tools. Hot wire tools, and carved it ourselves.
Yeah,
and came up with it was a P.T. Barnum tombstone.
Sad to see it go, but happy to see it in somebody else's life.
If they do more events like this, I would love to sponsor more tombstones because we have like 11 or 12 of them that we've made the past few years.
Yeah, we have some cool stuff. I have a lot of horror themed dolls that I want to keep doing. So we'll see. But I didn't really understand the prizes and the scoring, but I'm sure that they had like a whole logistic. Garrett probably had this whole
because he didn't seem confused and was like sputtering like, well, I don't know what you win. No, when we got it, he was like, all right, you got this, you got that, so you can choose from this or that.
Right.
There was no confusion on his part, just our part.
Right. I was like, okay, whatever, just give me what I won.
Right.
So our final thoughts, I would give it total a 4 out of 5 for this event.
I would too. What was your favorite actor?
I think the girl that was, or the bunny, the tall bunny in the, what was that scene? It was the second scene.
In the nest?
Oh, the nest, yeah.
Yeah.
That was like laughing and trying to get you to like get the eggs out of her basket.
So that was a really cool actor. That was one of my favorites. And then the actor crouching behind the greenhouse, that was kind of like the rancid rabbit type thing.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of reminded me of like Donnie Darko.
Yeah, that's super
That was
creepy.
really cool. So yeah, I think it was a toss-up between those two. All the other ones were pretty silent communication.
Yeah.
There was an effect. Oh, I forgot about that. The sound effect from Unlimited, Gearheads Unlimited.
What was that?
The siren on it looks like a power tool, but it's got a speaker.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of our favorite.
They also had chainsaw.
Yeah, they had a chainsaw too.
Yeah.
So I think there was more than we gave them credit for, to be honest.
Well, on the Saturday night that we didn't end up like going through. I mean, we were there, but we didn't.
went through bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
enough to find stickers and give away our sticker cards to other people.
Yeah.
Because we did have tickets to go the second night, but we ended up helping more than hunting.
Which it was more fun to me to help than
I would rather do that.
Yeah.
I want to attend once, and then I want to help the rest of the time.
Right.
I agree. So yeah, we both gave it 4 out of 5 as our final thoughts score.
Mm-hmm.
So final results. Do you know what that was?
That was a drum.
Supposed to be a drum roll. That was good. So you gave it.
I can't do it. Like Christmas Vacation.
I can't roll my tongue at all.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that just makes me envious because I can't roll my tongue.
That was probably super annoying. If you're listening, I do apologize for that.
So final tallied scores. On average, you gave it a 3.65 out of 5.
How did it get to 3.65?
Because you gave it a 3.5 in one of the categories, even though I like to keep them even. And mine tallied up a little higher.
Spice it up a little bit.
Mine tallied up a little higher at 3.8 out of 5.
Okay.
So we'll add that to our website. We have a new section on our website that is keeping track of all of these now.
Cool.
Yep, fully updated. So what would you have changed, or what would have been cool to have seen that maybe you've talked about before, or you want to kind of sum up now? New stuff, old stuff, anything?
I would have liked to have seen just more organization, I think.
Okay. Going into the event or throughout the event?
Throughout, I think.
Okay.
There were some volunteers or some staff that I didn't understand. They were asking questions here and there, like, what do I do? Wait, I'm confused, blah, blah, blah. So they were kind of confused. So I think that they just need to be more prepared. Okay. But other things that I would have liked to have seen or changed is the audio. Like I said before. You wanted to be able
to hear it in headphones. Correct. Or blast it over loudspeakers or something.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. So I've talked about it a little bit. I'm a sucker for stories with callbacks. So love that they brought back in Kojo Biotech.
Yeah. And
I feel like they also hinted towards Solstice Seance when they talked about the cult could make you see past events and future events.
Oh.
I don't know if that was an intentional tie-in, but I think that was a really cool phrase to just kind of throw in there.
Yeah.
I feel like it was purposeful.
Knowing Ken, yeah, probably.
Exactly. He's probably got this checklist in his head of ways for him to reference other stories.
Yeah, which is great.
It's awesome.
Because I could never do that.
It's not easy to do at all. And I got to see, I don't know if I told you this, I got to see the script of all the audio tracks, and I got to actually see him editing some of the audio tracks.
That's really cool.
I got to sneak behind the scenes and see some of that.
Don't tell anybody, though.
Fun fact, he uses Hindenburg Live for his audio mixing software.
Is he going to be mad that you said that?
I don't know anything about the software. Oh. Whenever we do the podcast, I use GarageBand, and you like to edit in Audacity when you do your ASMR stuff.
Yeah.
So I have no idea about Hindenburg Live.
That and CapCut, so.
CapCut.
Hey, it's simple and it gets the job done.
The amount of tracks in a single audio file was insane.
I don't know.
Like, it looked like he was recording multiple instruments at a time, which is the only way I can really think through it is per instrument, per track. So much chaos to deal with. And to see him fly through it and go, oh, that goes there, that goes. What are you doing?
Oh, no,
my eyes could not follow his hands fast enough.
That's so crazy.
So it made me appreciate it all the more.
He should be a DJ.
He probably could be. Like you said, the audio being on the phone without any headphones, it was a little difficult to hear, and along with the competing audio noises. But when you took a step back and you looked at everybody running around with their phones pressed to their ears, they were still part of that community. So it was cool to see everybody going towards an ultimate goal. And then audibly, it sounded like a bunch of little whispers.
Right. It wasn't chaotic at all, it was actually kind of relaxing.
It was only chaotic for you when you got distracted by everything.
Right. Because
but listening,
overwhelmed.
It was so cool to hear.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't
people whispering everywhere.
Yeah, it wasn't loud at all or anything like that.
No.
It's not like people were screaming or, you know, you couldn't like hear somebody else's
Right. Not well enough to really understand it.
No.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. It was
overall,
different for sure.
Yes. Overall, I agree with you on the organization. Specifically before the event started.
Yeah.
That would have been nice just to know I'm not in a big mob.
Right.
And I think a few other, I overheard them talking about, you know, well, my time is at this. When do I need to scan my ticket? Like, when does that happen? Am I going to be late?
Yeah. More direction would be nice.
But overall, you know, the staff is pretty understanding of that. Mm-hmm. There's not a set, like, if you don't get to the bar by 7:15, 15 minutes after your time, like, you're done. You're not allowed in. They fully know their process. Yeah. And they can accommodate that. Yeah. So don't worry if you're backed up or delayed because of their process. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if you have a ticket for 7, don't walk in the door at 8 and then expect them to be like, yeah, that's fine. They might be like, probably. Yeah, that's okay. But if they really are ticket timed events,
I'm strict, so if it were me, I'd be like, no.
Well, we may need to rethink that for our haunt.
You're late. You're late. What the heck?
No, we would accommodate it. We'd figure out a way. But overall, love the event. I'm looking forward to what other holidays they do events for. Mm-hmm. Love to help out as much as we can going forward.
Haunted. So when we were talking at the end of the night, the lady or the girl, one of the girls, was saying a haunted forest for Arbor Day. I think that would be really, really cool.
So the problem with Arbor Day, I was looking this up earlier. Did you know different states have different dates for Arbor Day?
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think there is a national date. I would assume there's got to be one. But different states celebrate Arbor Day. So like Florida, I believe it's in like January because the ideal time to plant trees is in a little cooler weather. Well, you only get cooler weather for like 2 months in Florida. Yeah. So that may be difficult to specify a date. But again, I don't know that that's a barrier.
You know
it's
what?
Just something they got to strategize around.
What would also be kind of cool if you're like not, you know, particularly keen on the certain holidays is coming because there's always a national something in a month.
Ooh, yeah. So like National Donut Day.
Yeah, National Donut Day. You can do National Mental Health Day. You can do, and then you can also.
There's got to be like a National Psychology Day.
Yeah, and then you can also like take that to. You can have like half the proceeds or whatever go to that specific cause. That'd be cool. So that way you're also helping the community out and you're getting people in.
I bet people would pay extra specifically to like get a sticker on the wall with their name on it. Yeah. Even if it was just for an event where nobody really saw it. Yeah. But just to have that like, hey, donate, you know, $2 for a sticker on the wall. Donate $30 for a shirt.
Yeah. So like mental health, I think mental health is in, I don't know if it was in March or it's in May. I should know this, but.
You should know this. You know, Women's History Month was March.
Yes. So like for mental health month or whatever, you could do, and you could do it like every weekend of the month. So you would have 4 or typically 3 to 4 weekends that you can, you know, raise money or make money, whatever you want to do. But you could say like it's mental health is scary, or you know, come up with like a theme or a story based behind that.
When is Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month?
Ooh, that's a good one.
What they could do for that is just pump in a bunch of fog machines into one room and make it feel like what people like cystic fibrosis, like this guy over here, feels like on a day-to-day basis is just walking through fog with your lungs.
You don't want to. No.
No, that's a terrible. Well, I would be down to try it even with all my lung issues, but.
So Mental Health Month is in May. So.
Oh, perfect. I think that's cystic fibrosis awareness. So lump all the diseases, physical, mental, emotional, all of it.
Or just stick to like. Oh, a health month would be cool.
Health month would be cool. They've got plenty of props for that.
Yeah, or just stick to like, you know, cool stuff like.
Did I tell you the story
donuts.
About the lady that found a blood vial in the parking lot? Bless you.
No.
Yeah, she brought it up to the prize counter and was either super upset.
What, did it have blood in it?
So she brought it up and she said, I don't know if this is a prop or not. If it's not, I'm really upset and I have a complaint. If it is a prop, no big deal. I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
All they could have said was like, oh yeah, it's totally a prop.
So they didn't. They brought it to Garrett. Garrett followed through and was like, hey, I need Ken. Like, I don't feel comfortable answering this.
Yeah.
I'm running the prize counter. I am not in the medical profession at all.
Oh, wow.
So Ken came out right away, looked at it, and was like, oh, that's 100% a prop.
Yeah.
The part that you think is blood at the bottom is just the little, like, gummy part.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All of the props that they use for, like, the blood vials, they're all completely expired.
Yeah.
So none of them are able to be used. None of them are used. All of them are completely unused, completely expired.
Yeah.
Will not be used. So it was just a prop.
Well,
but
thank
all
goodness.
of that, and the lady heard Ken come out there, and she was like, okay, I just wanted to make sure. I thought it was a prop.
Yeah. Sure, you wanted that money, honey.
Right. So, no, handled super great.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great response.
I think.
But I thought it was funny, just being a fly on the wall.
That is so funny. Yeah,
Other
they're
than
pretty
that-
good at handling stuff.
Yes.
Professionally. So.
Yeah.
All right,
Other than
guys.
that's all I got.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Hopefully, we'll link their website so that you can stay in touch with their socials with their upcoming holidays. So
And we'll post on our Instagram and Facebook whenever they have a new event coming up.
yeah,
Rather than trying to announce it in an episode.
Yeah.
Follow us on our social medias because that will be a more up-to-date, in-the-moment response.
Right.
and
Yeah, we'll definitely share
knowledge.
their stuff. So, all right, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.